Today I'm going to talk to you about spin selling, the best questioning technique process I've ever come across. I've been using it for more than a decade. You're going to love it. All right, what's the challenge that most salespeople have? Well, the biggest one is that most of us don't understand the difference between a one-call sort of low-value sale versus one of those complex sales. If you're in the business where your customers have to interact with you, multiple times over, the course of maybe a week, 2 weeks, or even longer, you're in a complex sale environment. And sales has changed so much over the years, and people know, like I've said in some previous videos, they can smell when you're trying to sell to them. So today we're going to talk about spin selling. Now, spin selling has been around, it's by a guy named Neil Rackham. It's been around for since 1988, actually, and I have the book and I've been using it for years, and I love the process of being able to go through these questioning techniques with potential clients. And you can use this in any industry that you're in. And SPIN really just stands for situation, problem, implication, and need payoff. And I'm going to go through those in detail in the blog post, so make sure you read through it and really go through it. It's a lot, well, I think it's a lot of fun. So the different questions mean just sort of the different level of salesperson that you're going to be. The first one, the situational kind of question would be, tell me about the current situation that you're in, or tell me about what's going on in your business, or what type of a sales process do you use. So if it was me, I would say, can you explain to me the sales process that you use in your business? And that's what most salespeople do, is they ask those questions and they try and dig and they try and probe for information, which is sort of the old school way of doing it. As you start to go further into the discussion, you want to start asking problem questions. So if I'm asking, tell me about your sales process, and they explain to me what's going on, then I would ask a question like, so why is this causing you problems right now? Or what problems has this caused for you, right? So that's a problem question, and most salespeople that are good in those low volume or low value kind of sales are good at asking those kind of problem questions and digging deeper, and that's what probing is all about. And for most people, they'll be able to get by on those two levels of question. But really where the value is on the third and fourth level. So the first one is that implication question. You ask about a problem, they're going to tell you what that problem is, and there's always going to be some sort of an implied need. And when you're paying attention to that sales language, you'll be able to spot that implied need. And the question then becomes, what happens if you don't fix this problem? And you get them to explain to you how that problem sort of builds on itself. And it's the more you ask those implication kind of questions, the deeper that you can actually dig into your conversation. So if I was going to ask an implication question, I would say something like, what happens if you don't tighten up your sales process, or what happens if you don't start getting these conversions in order? So that's an implication question, getting your customer to start thinking about where would this go. And if they start telling you more implied needs, then you can actually dig further in those implications. The last one is the need payoff question. Now this is where you can really do some cool stuff with your customer. And the need payoff is, tell me what would happen if we increased your sales by, say, 25%. What would next year look like if you had another 25% in sales? Or what would another 10% more time freedom be for you? Or what would it look like if you had a 95% increase in your customer satisfaction ratings? Now you're talking about solutions rather than problems. And the beauty about this is that when you get your customers involved in explaining to you how a solution will solve their needs, you actually empower them to become sort of a mini salesperson for supporting your cause. And they become sort of evangelists for what you're trying to do, especially if they have to go and sell this idea to somebody else. As I mentioned in the blog post, the spouse factor, going home and talking to husband, or talking to your wife, or going and having to talk to your boss, superior, or the management team. The need payoff question is really going to get them involved in coming up with a solution. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're ready to buy your solution, just that a solution is in order. So those are the 4 types of questions that you can ask And the better you get at asking the further ones, the problems, implication, and need payoff, the faster you're going to be able to succeed in some of these sales calls. So get good at asking those kind of questions. Remember that spin selling, when it was released, it was based on 12 years of research on 35,000 sales calls in all sorts of different complex sale environments. So this stuff is really rooted in science and in data, which I love because they tested, and they found those gaps in the sales process. So in your sales process, make sure you're testing ideas. Make sure that you're testing what works and what doesn't, and start to work on asking those deeper questions. Most amateur salespeople stop at situation or even at problem because they haven't thought further about how to ask those questions. And then what do? We ask a couple situation questions, our customers get bored with that process, so we drop our marketing material in front of them and say, okay, well, let's look at our solution. That's completely what's losing so many sales today. So I hope this helps you guys out. Tomorrow I'm going to talk about an even more powerful sales technique called the Challenger Sale, which I've used a lot as well. So I look forward to your comments and questions, and read through the blog post and let me know how I can help you with your sales.